Welcome to Secrets of Shakespeare's First Folio. This episode is the easy peasy way to sell secrets. If you haven't done so already, please view Setting the Stage to understand the following concepts: the Great Chain of Being, Gematria and the Latin alphabet repeated count, and the Tria Sunt Omnia principle. I will be referring to these throughout the video. How do you easily tell secrets? You have a problem before you even start. You don't know your audience 100%, so you realize that not everyone will know the secrets you will tell or how you can tell them. The secrets have to reach the widest possible audience, and they have to conform to basic principles and plainly reveal themselves. Let's assume these 8 writers wanted to tell secrets to a wide audience. The easiest way they could do it was to create puzzles. There are 6 general features of puzzles. The first, at no time will creators lead readers astray. Why bother going through the trouble of making and creating puzzles and inserting them into the text if you don't want readers to solve them correctly? It makes no sense. 2, no unique keys or ciphers are used. 3, hints how to find and solve them will be nearby. They will be either on the same passage, the same column, the same page, or a facing page. 4, they will be easy to solve. In other words, keep it simple, stupid. 5, all parts are visible. In order to achieve all 4 of those previous features, you have to keep the parts visible. 6, they should give you an idea what you are looking for through repetition. Now to get back to point number 2. The important word here is no unique keys or ciphers are used. That means there are no customized or obscure ciphers, keys, or grills, and they have to be simple. The simplest one to use is the 23-letter Latin alphabet Gematria values. These are based on Hebrew and Greek Gematria, which preceded them by several centuries. And of course, we have the Latin alphabet repeated count, or the LARC. Literate people knew these, which means they were not secret. Therefore, there was no need for conspiracies if you wanted to tell secrets using Gematria. Furthermore, there was no need for a conspiracy with the puzzles in the First Folio. And don't forget, puzzles are in plain sight. So how easy are these to use? Well, I'll give you a few examples. First, we can get an alternate number value for the letter G, 3, since it was the 3rd letter in the Hebrew and Greek alphabets. We can get a hidden shape for the letter D, which is a triangle. We can get an alternate number for M, 40, because that was what the value of the letter was in Hebrew and Greek Gematria, which means you can transpose the letter M for 40. You can also transpose the uppercase P to the Greek letter rho, because the initial Greek letter rho is exactly the same as our uppercase P, which means you can transpose an uppercase P through Greek Gematria to become the uppercase R with a value of 17. Now I'm going to show you how to use the Latin alphabet repeated count. Let's say a puzzle solves to the number 51. That is triple E in the Latin alphabet repeated count. Triple E can be reduced to the letter E. We will see puzzles, however, that only involve the first step, where we go straight to the Latin alphabet repeated count and stop there. Now I will give you some puzzle and clue types. Before we do that, we have to go back to point number 4, that they will be easy to solve. The key here is they will be easy to solve. And in fact, they are easy to solve because most of them involve simple adding and subtracting. And we will also see the use of curves, angles, sightlines, and decorative letters to tell us who the man behind the name really was. I will start with Gematria sums. Our example is a poem that I wrote many years ago called Our Ascent. Tempo rubato, slack and swell of life, leavening dream made, unhurried by this gleaming fortune. We climb on this grand peak never scaled, cragged height, hidden, sight shrouded. We stumble, grope these ways, slope to ledge, then to slope again. Our stopping respites from the hard, long tasks to view the way past afar. Of a sudden, a rash, russet hawk, wings higher than our vantage, urging greater work. Thin dark bow, curling bright blue sky. This is essentially how I wrote it originally, with the uppercase letters intact. Now I'm going to show you what a compositor would do if an editor would tell him, we got to include some clues as to who the writer is. As you can see by the upper and lowercase letters, things have changed. Some letters have become uppercase, some letters are lowercase, and the first letter of the poem is now a decorative T. As usual, we will just use the 23-letter Latin alphabet Gematria values and try and discover two numbers. The 16 and 7 are two numbers that are important in my life. So let's start with two simple puzzles. The first one in the red box is that you add all Roman uppercase letter values other than the decorative T. Most of the puzzles we will see in the first folio will not have a decorative initial involved unless it is necessary. The second step in this puzzle is to add the digits to get target number 1. The puzzle in the blue box is in 4 steps. The first one is you add all Roman uppercase letter values which are connected to each other. Step 2, you subtract the value of the isolated uppercase letter. Step 3, you subtract the number of lowercase letters. And with that result, step 4 is you add the digits to get target number 2. Our next puzzle involves stanza number 1. This time we add all Roman uppercase letter values, including the initial letter. And the result is a multiple of one of our target numbers. You notice that I have added an uppercase H in line 5 from stanza 1. That was to allow us to get us proper value and the solution to this Gematria sum puzzle. Next we go to numbergrams. Step 1, we add the homonyms of a number in my poem as if they were the number. Step 2 is you find the word which looks close to an English word for a number and add that to what you have. In 5 seconds, I'm going to give viewers the solution. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The word on only needs a letter E to become the word one. And we have 3 2s in the poem. Simple as that. Next we have anagrams in which letters and words are rearranged to form hidden messages and names. Next we have counts. And we count the following things: characters, letters, uppercase letters, and This is the most important because they're the easiest things to see on the page. Puzzle creators use them most often. We also count words, listed items, and lines. Next we have acrostics. Then we have rebuses, geometric puzzles. Finally, we have digit sums. They are the type of puzzles that we've already seen, in which you take a sum and you add their individual digits to get to a proper solution. Everything is visible on the page. That means when these things come up, you won't have to go to other books, ciphers, codes, clues, other than Gematria and the Latin alphabet repeated count. Now I'm going to show you some of the methods that are used. In fact, most of the methods that are used. If the writers of these books wanted to give us puzzles, they had several ways to do it. But the number one principle is to look for anomalies and enigmas and things that appear out of place or otherwise wrong. Those are signals and hints that perhaps there are puzzles on the page. The first general method that they used were typesetting tricks. That means text layout. So where letters and numbers appear are just as important as words and numbers they are next to. The next thing we have is letter spacing, as in our example. Anything that looks just slightly out of place could be a clue. The use of different fonts is common. The use of different size of fonts is common. The use of mixed fonts within words is also common. The example in the upper part of the page with euphues is an example. I haven't yet figured this one out, but they use Latin and Greek letters. Finally, we have ornamental sightlines, where the ornaments are pointing to words and numbers that are significant. Next, we have spelling differences. They must be acceptable, as in the OUR and OR ways to spell words like color and honor. As before, look for the odd one out is a signal that perhaps there is a puzzle somewhere on the page. Most likely, it's going to be in the line where the odd word is located. Next, we have spelling errors, in which we have extra letters, substituted letters, and the most common is the V-U substitution, particularly in lowercase words. We have wrong letters, missing letters, and again, you look for the odd one out. If somebody is spelling a name correctly 10 times, and the 11th time he is spelling it incorrectly on the same page, look for a puzzle. Next, we have numbering errors. Next, we have errors of fact, and the facts must be known to most readers. An example of an error is that Richard III was Queen Elizabeth I's father. Most people would know that it was Henry VIII, but in a text, if the writer is saying that Richard III is her father, that's a clue. Something is up. Next, we have errors of omission. Commonly, they would be missing words in well-known biblical passages, proverbs, and also lines from poems. Then we have missing letters, which is directly related to spelling errors again. Missing page numbers, which again is about numbering errors. And though I haven't found them yet, I do believe there may be puzzles that have missing punctuation in them, though that might be untrue. Next, we have the use of allegorical images, such as the ones circled on the slide. They usually come from classical literature or history and refer to contemporary people or people that have been recently deceased. Finally, we have allegorical figures, also from classical literature or history, and I must emphasize that these are within the text. I make a distinction between images and figures. We will see that the most commonly used allegorical figure is that of Diana, substituting for Elizabeth I. These are all the ways that people in Elizabethan and Jacobean times could present puzzles. There are also three principal rules to follow. We subtract smaller numbers from larger numbers. Items can be subtracted from a sum if they are different, and words in brackets can be optional. Rule number 1, you always subtract smaller numbers from larger numbers. 2, items can be subtracted from a sum if they are different. Let's say we have 12 uppercase letters in a text. 5 of them are italic. Subtract 5 from 12 to get 7, and 7 is your target number. Rule number 3, words in brackets can be optional. That means you can substitute words in the brackets for other words. Next, we can subtract the sum number of words in brackets from a total number of words. We can also subtract the number of letters in a bracket from a sum total of letters in a page or text. We can also subtract the number of characters in brackets from a sum total. Most of these puzzles are usually within paragraphs or lines, so it's easier for people to understand them and get to the solution. These three principal rules are always followed in puzzles. Let's sum up. The number 1 principle, look for anomalies and enigmas, things that appear out of place or otherwise wrong. The 3 principal rules, we subtract smaller numbers from larger numbers. Items can be subtracted from a sum if they are different. Words in brackets can be optional. 6 general features of puzzles are: 1. At no time will creators lead readers astray. 2. No unique keys or ciphers are used. 3. Hints how to find and solve them will be nearby. 4. They are easy to solve. 5. All parts are visible. 6. They should give you an idea what you are looking for through repetition. The tria sunt omnia principle holds for this. The puzzle types are Gematria sums, numbergrams, anagrams, various types of counts, acrostics, rebuses, the use of geometry, and digit sum puzzles. The methods include typesetting tricks, spelling differences, spelling errors, numbering errors, errors of fact, errors of omission, the use of allegorical images, these are visual, and the use of allegorical figures, which are within the text. Thank you for watching. Stay safe.